First at 5. From the University of Florida's College of Journalism and Communications, you're watching WUFT News.
Welcome to WUFT News First at 5. I'm Macie Goldfarb.
And I'm Allison Williams. Thanks for joining us. Governor DeSantis created an executive order to provide relief for those affected by Hurricane Ian.
WUFT's Kennedy Mason joins us now to explain how this will help Floridians. Kennedy?
Thanks. On Thursday, Governor Ron DeSantis held a press conference in Fort Myers announcing the extended deadlines for property tax payments in counties affected by Hurricane Ian.
This includes real property, personal homes, commercial businesses that were destroyed or otherwise rendered uninhabitable. So it'll be the 26 counties that have been approved for individual assistance.
According to DeSantis, Florida legislative leaders have also agreed to hold a special session after the November 8th election. The session will address the state's fragile property insurance industry with an increased issue urgency due to Hurricane Ian's impact. That's all I have for now. Back to the desk.
And while on the note of Hurricane Ian, the Florida Department of Health is monitoring a flesh-eating bacteria that is beginning to thrive in parts of Florida the storm hit the hardest. Of Health has already seen 65 cases and 1 death from the harmful bacteria. The number of cases is roughly double the usual totals. Experts believe the heavy flooding is to blame.
People that might not be in contact with bacterium during normal times, because of the water and the coastal water getting inside the land, just increases the contact. And also, since people it's going to have like wounds because they're going to be carrying things, it's going to be like, it's basically creating the perfect environment for transmission of the disease.
Doctors say to those with open wounds or a weakened immune system that an infection with the flesh-eating bacteria can be life-threatening. The health department advises residents to stay clear of seawater or brackish water from the storm. Seems like sweater weather is finally here.
Yes, it's the perfect time to finally go to a pumpkin patch. WUFT's Julia Haley joins us now with the weather forecast.
We've had some very cool days this week and once again saw another cool day today. Those temperatures currently sitting in the lower 70s, 73 Gainesville, 74 Ocala, 75 the Villages, 69 Palatka, and 74 Lake City. And outside of our studio, currently seeing some sunny skies outside due to a high pressure system in our area, giving us some drier air. 72 degrees feels like 70 degrees outside. Look at that, not a cloud in sight. And this evening, starting in the mid 60s and dropping into the upper 40s overnight, seeing not a cloud in sight for the rest of your evening and into the morning as well. Back to you.
And on to the upcoming elections. Ed Bilarski and Harvey Ward will face off in a debate sponsored by WUFT and the Gainesville Sun on Tuesday, October 25th.
In the debate, the candidates will defend some of their positions and proposals. Bilarski says the problem he wants to combat most is high utility prices for residents. The candidate believes the city commission should reduce the fees. Instead, Ward said it's important to him that the community feels comfortable and that they know their voices matter. Free tickets are available through Eventbrite. Voters should submit questions by email to GainesvilleVoice@gmail.com or through Twitter by using hashtag GNVoice. The debate will be featured live on WUFT FM, our website, and the newspaper's website.
More and more Hispanics are registering to vote in Alachua County. In 2014, 6% of registered voters identified as Hispanic in the midterm elections. This year, that figure increased to 8%. Office of Supervisor of Elections Communications Director Aaron Klein tells us about the county's efforts to encourage Hispanics to register and participate in elections.
Every single one of our mailers or materials, they are in the Spanish language as well as English. You'll see, for example, the sample ballot that voters are receiving and the early voting mailer they've received. They have Spanish translation. Our website is fully translatable.
The elections will take place on November 8th. If you need help registering and any assistance in Spanish, you can call the office.
Candidates are pounding the pavement this weekend in the last few weeks of the midterm cycle. President Biden traveled to Pennsylvania Thursday in hopes of boosting Senate candidate John Fetterman's chances in the Keystone State. But growing concern over a struggling economy is casting shadows over the Biden administration.
Making the case for Democrats to keep power in Washington, President Biden hitting the road to tout their accomplishments over the last 2 years.
I signed into law a once-in-a-generation investment in roads, highways, bridges, railroads, ports, airports, and so much more.
Biden in Pennsylvania trying to boost the prospects of John Fetterman in one of the most closely watched Senate races of the cycle. His opponent, Dr. Mehmet Oz, says Democrats are desperate because he's rising in the polls.
It's a panic move because they know they're in trouble, and they're pulling in money from every which way.
Republicans are increasingly bullish on their chances, with voters telling pollsters the economy and inflation are their top concerns.
Joe Biden believes in super-juicing the economy, which causes inflation. We want to restrain the government.
Democrats trying to convince voters they do have a plan to address kitchen table issues, while also painting Republicans as extreme on issues like abortion.
We agree on bringing down costs and bringing down crime. We very much disagree with the MAGA Republicans on who should have the decision over reproductive freedom.
Voters getting chances to size up the competition, with debates being held across the country.
Thanks to more Healy's blocking 2 pipelines coming into Massachusetts.
Unlike my opponent, I don't want to give more power and control to big oil and fossil fuels.
The candidates for governor sparred last night in Massachusetts. Oz and Fetterman face off Tuesday. And by that point, early voting will be underway in most of the country. Drew Petrimo, NBC News, Washington.
A federal judge decides Steve Bannon should spend 4 months in prison for defying a subpoena from the House January 6th committee. The judge said the law was clear and he chose a sentence in between the 1-month minimum and the 6 months prosecutors recommended. The judge tacked on a fine of $6,500, much less than the $200,000 prosecutors wanted. After the sentence, Bannon told reporters it was his judgment day, but he'll appeal. And he said there will be a political judgment day next month for the January 6th committee.
On November 8th, the American people will raise judgment, and we will groom. The Biden administration ends on the 8th evening of the 8th of November. And some other thing is that the Department of Justice, Merrick Garland, will end up being the first Attorney General that's brought up on charges of impeachment, and he will be removed from office. Thank you very much.
The judge decided Bannon can stay free while he appeals.
Could there be a comeback for Boris Johnson? Some are speculating it's possible now that Liz Truss is resigning as British Prime Minister. Truss says she can't deliver what the Conservative Party wants in the face of current economic conditions, plus security and trade impacts from the war in Ukraine. Her resignation takes effect once the party picks a new leader, perhaps as early as next week. Apart from the former Prime Minister, other names in the rumor mill include a former finance minister and a former defense secretary.
Coming up, the University of Florida celebrated 60 years of integration today.
And some Florida schools will be getting a special treat this Halloween. Plus, you're just in time for spooky season. An Alachua family favorite reopened this weekend. We'll see you after the break.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
Today, the University of Florida celebrates 60 years of undergraduate integration. The first 7 African-American students to earn a bachelor's degree were admitted in 1962. The university took today to commemorate those pioneers for their courage and the advancements they helped put in place.
There's still a lot of progress that needs to be made, but I'm really excited about what the university has done. I mean, if you look back, you think about 7 pioneers who integrated, and now we have 24,000 plus black students on campus. So to me, that's progress. But it's also been 60 years, right? And so we want to continue to infuse our faculty, our staff, everybody around campus, our students especially, in efforts that will continue to move and engage DEI across the university for many years to come.
The university honored the pioneers at an awards luncheon today. President Fox also showed his appreciation for those who moved the university forward. The College of Journalism and Communications Dean Hub Brown was among 6 deans recognized for their leadership and commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. Dean Brown is the college's first Black dean.
Luby Bat Conservancy's biggest fundraiser of the year is scheduled for tomorrow. Rain or shine, festival goers will get a chance to hang out with a few different bat species. WUFT's Shawn Humphrey takes us to the bat's lair and shows us how their world turned upside down. But that's how they view life in the first place. Take a look for yourself.
Between the flying foxes and curious families at Luby Bat Conservancy, it'll be hard to tell who's having more fun.
So what we're really excited about is, one, it gives us a chance to really get out there and show the community what we're all about.
From 10 to 5 Saturday, the facility will host its 18th annual Florida Bat Festival. For Brian Pope, Luby's director, it's a chance to educate. He and his bats are on a first-name basis.
So one of the main things that people like to do whenever they come out here is obviously to see these guys. So right now, we are in the bat zone. This is the main area where people come out to whenever they come to Bat Fest, and they get to see guys like Calvin here.
Luby is normally quiet outside of sporadic screeches from its VIP tenants, but families this weekend will bring the noise up. They'll have plenty of vendors to visit, and the event will have a beer garden with live music.
I think it's a really good opportunity to see one of the most unique mammals in the world. And one of the things we always say about bats is that they're some of the most important mammals to humans. Whether it's our native Florida bats, where they're flying around every night eating mosquitoes and agricultural pests, or it's big guys like this that are helping to disperse seeds and pollinate flowers and regenerating rainforests, bats are extremely unique mammals. So people get to come out to Luby, have a good time at the festival, see these guys. And I should say this, there's really nowhere else in the United States where you can see these bats outside of a couple of places like Disney's Animal Kingdom and about 1 or 2 other places. So whenever they come to Luby, they're really seeing something unique.
Off the beaten path and down a dirt road from a Bruce Wayne-less bat cave, Shawn Humphrey, WUFT News.
It was chilly earlier this week, but it's warming up again just in time for the weekend.
Yep, we've got your weather forecast coming up after the break.
You're watching WUFT TV News.
We saw another chilly day for our Friday, currently sitting in the lower 70s, 73 Gainesville, 74 Ocala, 75 the Villages, 69 Palatka, and 72 for High Springs. And we saw a bit of a temperature difference today as well. So feeling just a little bit warmer here in Gainesville and around north central Florida. 9-degree difference in Gainesville, High Springs in Bronson, an 11-degree difference in Ocala, and a 12-degree difference in the Villages. So feeling just a little bit warmer today, but seeing those winds blast up just a little bit. 15 miles per hour in Daytona, 10 miles per hour in Palatka, 14 miles per hour in St. Augustine. So a lot east of I-95. Onto our campus cam, seeing those sunny blue skies outside of our studio due to that high pressure system, 71 degrees, but feels like 69 outside just because it's a little drier outside as well. Into this evening, starting in the mid 60s and dropping into the upper 40s overnight. You still want to bundle up for tonight if you are going outside. Bring a jacket with you wherever you go. Into Saturday morning, seeing those lows in the upper 40s, 47 for Gainesville, 48 Ocala, 53 the Villages, 63 for Daytona, and 42 for Live Oak. So once again, another chilly morning. Seeing that drier air due to a high pressure system in our area, that high pressure system bringing that more polar air into north central Florida, and this low pressure system over east of Florida is bringing some showers just east of Florida, east of I-95 and along the coast. Now we are seeing some winds due to a pressure gradient in the area because of that high and low pressure system right next to each other, and we're seeing some showers last throughout this weekend along the east coast and east of I-95. So for this weekend in Gainesville, expecting those sunny skies to last. Perfect weekend to go to the pumpkin patch. So 74 degrees should be our high for Saturday, and then rising by Sunday in the upper 70s, so getting just a little bit warmer this weekend. So looking ahead, sunny skies for the weekend, warming trend into the mid 80s, and then it's going to feel just a little bit breezy because of that pressure gradient between the high pressure system and the low pressure system around Florida. So take a look at your 6-day outlook, starting that warming trend Saturday in the upper 70s and rising into the 80s, mid 80s even, just higher than average for this time of year. That's your look at weather. Sports is up after the break.
You're watching WUFT TV News.
Welcome to sports. I'm Julianna Reichenbach. For the first time this fall, the Florida Gators don't have a football game on Saturday. After losing to LSU last Saturday, they've had a bye week and lots of time to focus on getting better. As head coach Billy Napier says, quality control. The 4-3 Gators have no bigger quality control than their defense, which will be important to compete with #1 Georgia. The Gators are ranked 11th in the SEC for scoring defense and 71st in the FBS, allowing 28.1 points per game. Defense has only held 2 opponents to under 400 yards. It's ranked 106th in the FBS for total defense, giving up 429.3 yards per game. And to top things off, the Gators have had the third down defense, the worst of all 131 FBS teams. Florida allowed LSU to go 8 for 12 on third downs. Still, head coach Billy Napier described co-defensive coordinator and safeties coach Patrick Toney as one of the best coaches he's ever been on a staff with. It seems only time will tell with 5 games left in their first year at Florida if they can make things better. Gators soccer remains winless in the SEC. Florida started down 2-0 against Vanderbilt, but in the 28th minute of the game, sophomore Madison Young scored her first goal of the season, a header off Delaney Tozzo's corner kick. Soon, though, the Commodores tacked on 2 more. Tozzo took another corner kick in the 61st minute, and the ball went off Vanderbilt for a Gator score. However, the Commodores proved too mighty and beat Florida 5-2. Florida plays again at #3 Alabama on Sunday. Gator swimming and diving hits the pool for the 2nd time this season, this time against much tougher competition than back in September. The #1 Virginia Cavalier women have won the last 2 NCAA championships, while the men are ranked #9. The #3 Gator men and #11 Gator women's squads have chances to make a big statement in Charlottesville, Virginia. Diving began at 5 p.m. today, and all swimming races will take place tomorrow. Gator softball takes the field for their first scrimmage of the fall tonight. Coming off a Women's College World Series appearance, Florida plays Jacksonville tonight at 7 p.m. and plays again on Sunday versus the Florida State Seminoles, who finished #5 last year. That game will get going at 2 p.m. at Katie Cecil Presley Stadium. Staying on the diamond, Florida baseball continues its scrimmages. Orange and blue games open to the public this weekend. Expected starting pitchers include returning freshman All-American Blake Purnell and sophomore Brandon Sproat, the 90th pick in the MLB draft. First pitches are set for 11:30 a.m. on Saturday and 5:30 p.m. on Sunday. Practice will also be open to the public an hour and a half before those scrimmages. And tonight in high school football, we've got a full slate of games for Friday Night Lights. The Buchholz Bobcats have managed to go undefeated so far, but they could have their biggest challenge tonight. The Bartram Trail Bears are 7-0. The Bobcats will look to quarterback Creed Whittemore, who recently switched his commitment from Florida to Mississippi State. That game will get going at 7 p.m. and around town tonight, there's a few other marquee high school football matchups. Undefeated Oak Hall will host St. Francis Catholic. PK Young and Newberry will also meet up tonight. The Panthers currently sit at 4-2 on the season and will travel to the 2-5 Blue Wave. Each game has a 7 p.m. kickoff. That was Really Good Sports. I'm Julianna Reichenbach.
Before we go, let's take one last check on the weather.
We have a cool weekend, but getting warmer over the weekend as well. Starting off with those sunny skies for our Saturday and into our Sunday, rising into the upper 70s. Now, for the rest of this week, seeing that warming trend last just a little bit longer with those sunny skies overall. Back to you.
BBC World News is next, and the PBS News Hour is coming up at 7.
But your Florida news is always on at WUFT.org. Have a good night.